The training method, like I said, is the linear periodic training method. There are 4 training phases: a base fitness phase, a strength phase, a power phase, and what climbers call a power endurance phase, which is a contradiction in terms, but it's a term that climbers have been using for a while. It's tradition. But that's basically your endurance. And then there's a period of performance followed by rest. It's roughly an 18-week cycle. The research I'm describing today focuses on the strength phase, in which we use the hangboard to focus on finger strength training. And again, with the finger strength training, the key feature is the ability to add weight to the athlete or subtract weight from the athlete so that the intensity of the training exercise can be finely tuned. And then we can track performance from workout to workout, from training season to training season. So the method, the research method here was, this device was developed, marketed, sold. Athletes around the world are using it, and we defined these different grip positions. We created a survey, an internet-based survey with 61 questions, and asked athletes to record their results over their training period and document those through the survey. For the data I'm showing here includes 118 respondents from 13 countries, etc. And then this is key. Nearly 70% indicated that they closely followed the training protocol that we prescribed. Because of course, people are free to do whatever they want, and we were not able to be there to observe their training. So we're relying on them to be honest about what they did. This is something that's interesting for climbing. If you're coming from more traditional sports, maybe endurance sports like running or triathlon or swimming, athletes are very highly trained. They've worked with a coach their entire life. Rock climbing is not that way. Rock climbing is for many, is a hobby. You might call it a hobby rather than a sport. They don't do prescribed training, and they don't follow protocols very well. Okay, so here are some results just for finger strength. This is just measuring how much an athlete how much weight they can hold, how much weight they can hang while holding from a specific grip. And so here the athlete has her body weight minus whatever is being taken off with the pulleys. So after 4 weeks of training, on average, the survey respondents reported 26.1 pounds, or about 12 kilos, increase after 4 weeks of training, and that represents a 21% increase in weight hanging ability. After multiple seasons, which may have occurred over a year or more, an average increase of 38.3 pounds or 17.4 kilos, which is a 32% increase. So we conclude that the Rockprodigy Training Center and the Rockprodigy method are effective at improving finger strength in experienced rock climbers. More importantly, we're interested in rock climbing performance. Performance is quantified using what's called the Yosemite decimal system, which is a scale that climbers use to quantify the difficulty of a climbing route. We found that after one training cycle, 12-week training cycle, on average, climbers improved about 1.5 grades, which is a significant improvement in the sport of rock climbing in such a short time. And then after multiple seasons, as much as an average of 2.5 Yosemite decimal grades, which is also very significant. And these are individual data points of individual athletes. So some athletes improved as many as 7 letter grades after training, which is incredible. And then many athletes reported no change. And this is evaluating the Rockprodigy Training Center, just the hangboard. Similar data, these are the average improvements. Just to discuss the results, like I said, we showed dramatic improvements, but there's some reason for that. Like I said, climbers don't typically follow systematic training programs, and so what we provided them was a very systematic program, easy to follow, and so I'm trying to attenuate the results here by saying many of the athletes that we tested this on were not highly trained. They may have been climbing a long time, but they weren't overtrained athletes. So they had a lot of room for improvement. So it was easy to show improvement. If they would just simply stick to a training program, they're going to show some improvement. So I don't know that our training method is the best in the world, but I think a conclusion you can draw is if you just apply a training method, you'll improve. And that's a significant finding in the sport of rock climbing. What is interesting over here is this is some just demographic data. I plotted climbing ability versus experience in the sport, years of climbing. And what's interesting is there's very little correlation between how long you've been a climber and how good of a climber you are. And I think the reason for that is what usually happens is early on, climbers improve a lot for the first couple years, and then they plateau, and they plateau forever because they don't train. And what this shows is the potential that if you can get these athletes to train, they will improve, and then they get motivated to train more. All right, just future work. We're constantly trying to improve our training methods and our training devices. This is the latest generation of the Rockprodigy Training Center that is we just finished designing and will be coming out soon. We're trying to use more advanced techniques, computer modeling, 3D printing, so we can iterate on shapes and test them and then build them into the final product, and obviously keep spiraling towards better devices. And it's not planned obsolescence, like Professor Ramirez was discussing, Rodriguez was discussing this morning. It's just that's the time scale. Other interesting things we want to try is including force sensing in the device so you can track workouts, track intensity, and then also incorporating cooling because there's a significant performance issue caused by the climate conditions while you're training. If it is hot and humid, it's more difficult to stick to these small grips and you slip off. So we want to refrigerate the board during training using Peltier cooling devices. So I'm running an experiment with some of my students at the Air Force Academy this fall doing that. So hopefully that turns out well. Anyway, thank you for your attention. Are there any questions?